If I ever get drafted, I hope I'd land in logistics. It's one of the more dangerous ones, actually. If we're in a war where you can get drafted, don't go logistics. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And when you're logistics, you're next to all the shit that they want to blow up from space. Just remember that. When you see, well, there were military personnel on that base and they got caught up when they hit the fuel depot. That's not my guys. That's not infantry sitting next to the fuel depot and ammo storage and fucking like the food and the trucks. That's not us. We're out fighting. They can't get to us like that. That's logistics, people. So it's honest 29. Isn't that out of draft range? It depends. Literally no. It's in tiers. So like, you know when you see like 1A, 2, fucking 4F, all that sort of type shit, you know, you take the most useful right off the bat. You know what I mean? This is the funniest part is people keep talking about like veterans like me will get redrafted. And like the veterans like, no, I won't. And they're like, I don't know if you know this, but if you didn't see the contract you signed. And everyone's like, we know exactly what the fuck is in there. If I get recalled, is what I can't get drafted, first off. I can get recalled to service. They know I'm 36. They're not putting me on the fucking front line. It would be a waste anyway, because I'm smarter than all of the people that are running the troops that are like half as young as me. They're going to fucking put me in a fucking office somewhere and I'm going to do paperwork because I know how to talk to fucking lance corporals. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because that's part of it's all written down. It's not like it's not like on the internet and when your favorite streamer doesn't know whether or not he's actually going to release the video. It's all fucking plans. Fucking orders are come down from the top. It's called a recall. And you get prior active service gets recalled well after draftees because draftees are what you need most. And draftees are 18 to 27, I think it is. 18 to 27 is base recall age. If you were former enlisted, right, and you're still within your 8 year, then you can get activated because you're inactive reserve. So inactive reserve will get called up first. There's so many people on inactive reserve right now because of the gigantic long ass fucking war that we fought and how many people are in it that you'll have that. And then they do the period in time between, I think it's 27, it might be 28. The amount of time you spent in. So I was in for 4 years. I was technically 8, right? So it's 8 plus 28, which is 36. That is like the first, that like they do the enlisted time and then they do the inactive reserve time to get up to that point. And so like they don't just draft people to do, it's not like I know if you've like watched a bunch of movies about the 1960s and you're like, wow, man, not me, LBJ, no way. But you don't know anything about why drafts happen. Take a breath. Like the draft needs to draw in people in order to fill positions that are not filled, right? One of the positions that's most often not filled are like middle billet non-jobs. So like if you get called in, right? I have a college education. So first off, if I get recalled as prior infantry service with a college education, I'm going to fucking OCS off rip because they need me to do shit like that. That would just be one of the best. It doesn't mean it's always what's going to happen, but they always need officers to do random shit. I'll end up working at fucking motor pool. You know what I mean? The young people get pulled in to go fill the ranks from the bottom up. You're just an inexperienced fucking cretin. You have no fucking skills. You know, you were eating cotton balls to try to convince them you have stomach cancer type shit. They're going to put you maybe into infantry billets, but that's always that's from movies and stuff. Infantry gets filled up faster than you would think by volunteers because people do want to fight. They want to scrap. But this is America, all right? It's just like a thing about Vietnam is so fucking crazy that no one wanted to fucking fight in that war because it was stupid as shit. But there's always a shitload. The infantry is very often completely filled to the point where our MOSs have almost impossibly high rank scores, basically. I don't know how to fucking explain these. there's a score. I have to explain the entirety of the military to people. If you have really strong opinions on the draft and you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, you don't actually have an opinion on the draft at all. Let me just tell you that. Your cutting score, it's called, which never heard. That's when you make the cut. The cutting score is a thing that you have to reach through all sorts of different parts. How fucking good your physical fitness tests are, how many off work courses you've taken, these classes, different types of other like basically like continuing education points that you've gotten, and then like deployments and like time in billet and then recommendation stuff makes the cutting score go up. By the time when you hit it, then you are able to pick up the next rank. You still might not. When it gets up into the staff NCO billets, those are so fucking packed full that they almost don't need anybody for them. But then a lot of the other like there's billets throughout the entirety of the military that always need filling. But like the possibility of someone like me getting picked to go infantry, which first off, I have a disability anyway, so I literally can't go to fucking the infantry. Unless it's not impossible because there's no absolutes, but it would have to be a draft. It's a draft that would be bigger than the biggest draft that's ever occurred in American history, which I believe is World War II, was like the biggest draft. And all the guys that were getting drafted in World War II in Vietnam, it wasn't like they were going straight to like, all right, you're a fucking GI. If you're stupid as fuck and you're not like, if you're fucking dumb as shit, that's where they're going to send you. But like every fucking infantry guy needs 4 additional dipshits to help the infantry guy get to where he goes. Just always remember that. The infantry is only like 17% of any military branch, maybe even smaller depending on the service branch. All of those other billets need things too. They all need people. So like in this, if I in my imagination, and it depends, I would have to look at force readiness documents and shit to make a full fucking opinion. By the way, if you want to put it together, that's how you do it. Go and look at force readiness stuff and like where they think that we might have to put people for a draft. These are often published a little bit after the fact. There's a lot of commentary that goes on to force readiness. It's a whole discipline. A lot of the times what they need are random, highly technical, but still low skill jobs. So they need like S1 shop, whatever the fucks, and like water purification dudes. Because of the advanced nature of war nowadays, they always need people to work in the airfields and stuff as just like mechanics on airplanes, all sorts of shit. If I ever get drafted, I hope I'd land in logistics. It's one of the more dangerous ones, actually. If we're in a war where you can get drafted, don't go logistics. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You want to go more intel or comms. Communication, if you want to not get fucking shot at, communications is a coin flip, but it could generally work out in your favor. If you're in intel, which is S1, you're golden. And then stick to stuff like maybe like motor T. Logistics is if you're stateside logistics, you're good. If we're at drafting people territory, you are not going to be stateside logistics. And when you're logistics, you're next to all the shit that they want to blow up from space. Just remember that. When you see, well, there were military personnel on that base and they got caught up when they hit the fuel depot. That's not my guys. That's not infantry sitting next to the fuel depot and ammo storage and fucking like the food and the trucks. That's not us. We're out fighting. They can't get to us like that. That's logistics, people. So if you're like, oh, I've always thought of logistics, and they're like, what? Just be careful. S4 logistics, if I remember correctly, S4 is logistics shop. S4 logistics is probably fine. There'll be some like there'll be some non-stateside jobs, here and there. But like if you're just generally doing like bean counter logistics, more than likely you'll be in the safe place. But like especially like motor T, all the not actually in the S4 shop, but like under the S4 shop type jobs where it's like I'm like fuel specialist, water specialist. I'm sort of half making up jobs, but trust me, if I actually read out the name of it, it's not going to make any more fucking sense. It's going to be something like fucking EMT19385 fucking JP8 fuel refueling canister man. The fuck crazy ass bullshit. And when you're in the Marine infantry, you just call him like this fuel guy, water guy. Those dudes will be the ones that get like in the most thing. Because like the log train was what got hit all the time. Because it's fucking logistics trains are huge. You know what I mean? You know all those old movies where they're like, hey, we got to hit this thing. You know, like The Mandalorian, when they're like, we got to hit this fucking gigantic train. The train is logistics. Understand, the train is the logistics thing. So you're on the train. More than likely, they don't have standard infantry running with the log train. Well, at least in the Marines. I don't know how the Army does it. Army convoys are different. They're a lot heavier than ours. Marine convoys, because every Marine's a rifleman, we don't have infantry spots necessarily unless specifically like they're assigned to, as a run guard. The motor T people will do their own convoy guards, right? Because it's your trucks. You just get into it. They'll run you up in Marine Corps combat training on how to run the guns and stuff on top. And then you just have the guns on top. And so you thought you were going over there to just fucking count wrenches. But unfortunately, it's Saturday. And Saturday means that you're riding on top of the 7-ton. So like just that is a thing that can happen if you're in logistics. It's not like a guarantee, but sometimes like you'll just get picked. It's crazy. Like if you talk to the fucking, I know we have a bunch of fucking air wingers in here. I think Killjoy is. I can't remember exactly how door gunners are picked, but that's my job normally. Like I was a machine gunner, 0331, 240 fucking golf specialist, but obviously, so I fucked with the 240 Bravo. 240 Hotel or 240 Juliet, I believe, are the side helicopter fixed or rotary wing helicopter mounted 240s. It's probably not even that anymore. It's probably something else. But Hotels and Juliets are vehicle mounted, permanent vehicle mount, 7.62 by 54 millimeter machine guns. Those, and we don't fucking use those. I don't get on helicopters and shoot those things, like, because they don't need me. But they pick them from inside the air wing. They're like, hey, you're this dude, but you're also going to be a fucking door gunner. You know what I mean? Like you work on fucking struts or some shit, but then this is also your other job. Maybe you work with a recon team as a helicopter person. And so like the recon team has their own shooters in the windows, right? So you guys don't need shooter windows. It's always very flexible. There's no absolutes that like this is 100% going to happen. You'll think that it's the case of the military. You know, and then it'll be like, oh, so no, in our unit specifically, for some reason, the rotary wing pilot doesn't fly the plane. He takes long naps in the back while fucking Gunny flies the plane, and actually Captain likes to do door gunning. And you're like, why? It's like, well, it's because Captain said that that's what he wanted to happen. So that's what we do, and Regiment found out about it, and they think it's the funniest, coolest thing ever. So we just do that now. Well, that's not standard operating procedure. It is not. If Vosh was drafted, what do you think his job would be? God, it depends on who drafted him. Yeah, like the possibility that Vosh would not be working at like SIF would be crazy. SIF is Consolidated Issue Facility, CIF. I think it's almost all civilian now, but I feel like he has the perfect, he would be SIF, or he would be in like one of those weird ones, educational services. There's entire subdivisions that I don't know what they're fucking, I was 03 infantry, right? Which is a number that's given to the infantry because just to remind them there's two numbers over them, so they're not always the most important people. And also that it's not too high, so they know where the number is, because we would forget it. If I had to do something like corpsmen are like 85-32 or some shit like that, he would probably be, he has a voice for like Consolidated Issue Facility, guy with a clipboard, but also somewhere deep inside the MOS A and B billets, down deep into it, is an educational, I know there's a version of this. If you're in the military and you know what I'm talking about, please feel free to correct. But it's like educational services technician, and they are people that like literally exist to put together slideshows and give presentations on boring bullshit in gigantic air-conditioned theaters in fucking 29 Palms. They are like the living version of energy vampires, like Colin Robinson. So anybody that has that Colin Robinson, Vosh, Vidya type talking style, now understand that, of course, if you are going to be using the Chow Hall on the south side, that is reserved for officer hours from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. for O Club meetings. Like that's what his whole thing would be. Fucking officer stoolie? Absolutely. I don't even know what job that is, but eventually all officers of a certain rank, I think it's once you hit like field grade, so like major and up, they get stoolies, right? Little fucking stoolies that follow them around that are enlisted guys that just wander around behind them. And the stoolies just do shit. So like I think being an officer stoolie would be it too, maybe. I don't know if that's a full billet. They just give it like I think you could definitely be somebody's fucking like water boy. So the military version of a project manager, I mean, basically, yeah. Area 51 invasion PowerPoint. Stable boy, that used to be a job. There is equine services. I don't know if it's still active in the Marines. I know that that's a job though, because there's still horse units. I know specifically there are in the Army because the Army fucking jerks themselves off about cavalry all the time, even though Army cavalry nowadays is Army fucking on helicopters and on fucking cars, trucks. But I think the Army still has actual mounted on horses cavalry. They don't run at people in lines, and they might not call themselves that, but they do like horse stuff. So like they're like pathfinders or whatever the fuck. They walk around on hills on horses. Might not even be their permanent job. It might be a B billet that people get, but I do know that that's a job that people can have. Is combat engineers still something that exists in the U.S. Armed Forces? Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Dude, everybody loves fucking NGs, except for me, because they never fucking helped me do shit. Fucking chicken shit ass motherfuckers. I wish we had the CBs. Yeah, you can still join the CBs. If you're enlisted, if you are a civilian and you have actual like skills, especially if you have anything like a vocation, right? You can completely bypass going enlisted, and do what they call like equivalent service or whatever the fuck. There's an actual term for that, and basically like CBs I know specifically does this. They have civilian engineer counterparts. Army Corps of Engineers does as well. And if you join that, you will not have to get rank necessarily. And because of what you're doing is useful to the military effort, then you just get to do stateside shit. You don't have to do fucking anything. So also like if you're a translator or something, you know, and you're like, you speak the language of whatever the fuck conflict that we're getting into, or sometimes even just any conflict, you can sign up as an interpretive specialist. You can skip going to the military and join almost any, if not every single federal service, and that will preclude you from having to serve. You know, if you're scared of going into the infantry and getting shot, this is what I'm trying to tell you. First off, as a former infantry guy, I don't want anyone to ever be drafted into the infantry, A, because it's fucking inhumane, and B, because you guys are fucking never going to be as good as guys that want to be there. You just can't. Unless something wakes up in you and you got drafted, but then you get there and you're like, fuck, I love killing. Like, then they don't need you. You know what I mean? Just go do something else. But you can join the Coast Guard. You can join like the Air National Guard. You can do all that kind of stuff. But you can also join the FBI and become a Fed. You can join a lot of different other federal agencies that are like wartime critical. You can look all this stuff up to see if it's a wartime critical agency. So if you're afraid of getting drafted and you're fucking stupid, you could still sign up for like some aspect of the forestry service or something like that. That is like, you know, your fire prevention, whatever the fuck. Firefighters a lot of the times won't be fucking called up. A lot of police billet jobs won't be called up, or if they are, they'll do that job when they get called over. So I think this is me. I'm talking out of my ass a little bit here, but I feel like I remember this being the case. That in World War I or II, I think II specifically, like certain police departments would send over a gigantic chunk of cops to basically assist MPs. right? So like you have like 30 cops, right, in your station. They need MPs, not to maybe be like frontline POW camp MPs, because military police run POW camps, at least they're supposed to usually. But like those guys have to go over there. So you send your 20, 30, 50 cops from your precinct down to like Fort Bragg to be military police there stateside. So it's not that dangerous for you. They don't have to rely on you not having military training, but you free that billet up. It's all a lot more complicated than you think. And almost every time the draft is the absolute last thing that you want to do. It has never been politically efficacious aside from like in the history of mankind for whoever calls the draft in almost every country, because people hate being fucking drafted. So like if there's a draft and you don't win the fuck out of a war everyone wanted to fight, like World War II or World War II kind of, you know, then everyone's going to fucking despise you. And even while the draft's going on, even if it's for the best thing ever, everyone's going to fucking hate you. Conscription is never politically positive. So if they can avoid it by basically throwing money into different directions and kind of side skirt it, then you can get there. Third topic of the stream should be discussion of the latest Kagurabachi chapters and how goated they are. Kagurabachi fucking slaps right now, and you should be watching it. It's heist. It's a heist subplot, and it's so good. You should be watching Kagurabachi or reading it. Shonen Jump app. Check it out. Sold. If I ever get drafted, I'm putting this electrical engineering degree to work and joining combat engineers instantaneously. They'll take you in a heartbeat. They probably need that. If you have any higher level skills, vocations, and STEM degrees that are not in theoretical aspects of STEM, little fucking math nerds, sorry, no one gives a fuck that you're good at physics. You better be good enough to make up a new fucking bomb, or your dumbass is going to be going to wire up electrics.
Hope you enjoyed your time on the Westside.